we're talking about digital sovereignty and digital AI sovereignty, infrastructure sovereignty, and so on. So the main idea here, or the main purpose, is that every country now, I'm talking about European Union, UK, Singapore, the idea is that they want to have more control over their cloud infrastructure and over their data staying within their country borders and ability to innovate and develop models, AI, use AI on their data, and not necessarily to have it all controlled by the giants that are mostly American companies. There are the new emerging AI companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, and so on, and they want to be much more in control and not just sending it out and have basically US companies control their data, control their models and their infrastructure. And now there are huge budgets being channeled into these initiatives all around Europe. We're talking huge, like hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 5 years that will be invested in building this sovereign digital infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. So it starts from the infrastructure, but the intent of this infrastructure is not only to protect the data, but actually to develop models that will be trained and owned and controlled by the country, because it will be using their data. Now, the interesting part here, so on the one hand, they want more control, but these are friendly countries to each other, and they want to collaborate as well. And then there is a question how this collaboration will happen on a sovereign infrastructures. So on the one hand, you want to protect your digital assets, which are data, models, and the infrastructure itself. On the other hand, obviously, these are very friendly countries. So this collaboration among sovereign partners is something that duality can help a lot. We can bridge this need to be sovereign and collaborative and partnering. What duality did with cross-border collaboration between UK-US really plays well into that agenda, because each country is sovereign, but they do want to collaborate. And the fact that we have two major countries that decided they want to collaborate on pediatric cancer research, which is a rare disease, and each of them doesn't have sufficient amount of data, but together they do have enough data to do the type of analysis that organizations do in cancer research, such as survival analysis on treatments, medications, and more. This is a very good example for collaborative sovereignty. So each didn't want to move the data, they didn't want to centralize it. They wanted to keep in their borders, and still they wanted to derive common value, joint value from a research. It can pertain not only in healthcare, it can be relevant in any discipline, financial areas, financial collaboration, even defense-related collaboration. So whatever is important to any country to collaborate on data models with other countries and still to remain sovereign, which means they control their data, their models, and so on. Technologies like secure federated learning, secure federated analytics, combined with, like we did with the UK-US study, we combined three technologies. One was federated analysis, which kept the data in the borders of the countries. And then the intermediate results of this analysis were brought into trusted execution environment, therefore protected end-to-end, and they're analyzed, and also differential privacy was used in order to reduce even further the risk of exposure of private information. And this architecture received approval from regulators from both sides of the Atlantic. This is an excellent example that it is entirely feasible to be sovereign with the country's sensitive data and still to collaborate. It's not nice to have, it's a must in order to be able to perform such a collaborative research, collaborative analysis, any collaborative activity on data and models while remaining in control of each country's digital assets.